Chapter 9, Plan, Release Plan. During the 6 years Joe Justice worked directly with Jeff Sutherland, the co-creator of Scrum, Jeff told Joe there is no such thing as release planning in Scrum. Jeff said, release planning was brought up by old school project manager types, people who could not let go of the idea of a long-range, forward-looking predictive plan. People who could not let go of trying to force the emerging reality of the work to fit that plan. In many very fast organizations, even those making huge complex products, the long-range plan is nothing more than a forecast of trend, like our Scrum Masters have been producing during this seminar together. Let us explore how a Scrum Master conducts financial planning, forecasting, forward commitments, and resource planning in a healthy organization with a low cost to make change. Jeff would go on to say release planning was methadone for project managers. Methadone is a drug used to treat heroin addicts that is also very bad for you. It's just not as bad for you as heroin. And it soothes the heroin addicts while they try to break free of their addiction from heroin. So Jeff was saying release planning in agile teams is not as bad as waterfall release planning, but it's still not good. And it helps break the addiction to long waterfall planning to have agile release planning. So Jeff was not a fan. That said, release planning works great for working with investors and to interrupt, to establish a friendly communication that both parties can understand with waterfall teams, waterfall companies, waterfall suppliers. You don't need it in a pure play agile organization. You actually don't. It's not necessary at all. But to interact with traditional minds, waterfall minds, traditional masters of business administration, who might be your investor, they might be another part in your larger company, release planning is extremely helpful. So here's how to do it. Here is a group burn down chart where any number of Scrum teams have the sum of their completed projects plotted against the total number of points of the desired projects within a given date range. In this example, all the teams together have finished 91 points in the first 4 one-week sprints of the year. They have released 7 extra small projects. We now have a trend. We can ask ourselves what will be done by the end of March. April 1 may be a key marketing opportunity, such as a trade show or a customer renewal cycle. In this burn down chart, we can see it is currently statistically likely the teams altogether will complete another 182 points or an additional 14 extra small projects. We can now call meta Scrum to determine if the next 14 extra small projects are the highest business value projects to complete before the end of March, and reprioritize the not yet started work at any time with almost no disruption. This is aided if projects are independent, able to be completed in any order. To accomplish this, we split large projects into parallel executable extra small projects or modules. And we will provide more information on this in Chapter 10, XM, Extreme Manufacturing, and Chapter 13, Sprint. Similarly, we can ask ourselves when we will likely complete 31 extra small projects for the year. Using the sum of completed extra small projects across all teams working on this scope of work, we see our current trend is to complete this work inside the month of May, before May is done. If we need these projects completed earlier, our teams with the product owners may cut out the lower value parts. This scope cut will reduce the points required to complete the essential work. Scrum Masters meet in Scrum of Scrums to identify the likely top business impact impediments. The Scrum Masters then estimate which of these are able to be solved within the next sprint and place them in team backlogs to be remedied, to be fixed. This is a further advantage of a short sprint length, like a week or less, as it means we can act on newfound impediments even more quickly without disrupting the current sprint. and the teams focus on the current extra small project. At Tesla, many times the sprints are 3 hours. Now, a sprint can't be shorter than the time it takes to plan, analyze, build, test, and deploy something. So that takes a tremendous amount of automation and rapid feedback at design time and fast production. But if you can get a sprint shorter than a month, you have a very meaningful feedback loop. And if you can get it even shorter than that, like Tesla does, you get motivation building. Professionals get motivation by seeing rapid feedback of done work. You don't want a sprint that's just planning. However, remember that if a sprint is too short for a team to complete an extra small project, including planning, analysis, building, testing, and deployment, we will have many sprints with zero velocity alternating with sprints with a full extra small project worth of velocity, which is demotivating for the team and means we need an even longer running average for statistical relevance, and simply means the sprint length is too short. Let's see if I can split that sentence up into some shorter sentences. The shortest sprint length is the time a team can fully plan, analyze, build, test, and deploy an extra small project. For some organizations, that may be 3 years. For some organizations, a sprint may be less than an hour. Sprints become shorter as approved processes become more agile. Sprints also become shorter as the level of automation increases. The sprint also becomes shorter as we increase the team decision-making rights, which will reduce the number of decisions that escape the team, which triggers waiting states. Okay, this probably needs to be written more clearly. A decision that escapes the team means the team has to wait on someone outside the team to make the decision. The team doesn't have enough information or rights to make the decision. So say the team says, we want to send everyone to Scrum Master class, and they have to wait on an approval. And then that group has to wait on an approval, and that group has to wait on an approval. Some of our clients have told us they needed more than 7 approvals across several months just to send someone to Scrum Master class. If a core part of the team's work needs to wait on anyone outside the team, it will be more slow. And those people outside the team making that decision might not actually have any more information. So part of it is making sure the teams have good information so they could make good decisions. And that's projects and cards and backlogs all by itself. And another is then making sure the teams then have decision-making rights. They are actually allowed and then accountable for the output of those decisions. At Tesla, that's done by measuring the financial efficiency of each team. Each team can see how much money it costs to run that team per hour, including resources consumed and salaries in aggregate, and the net value to the company in terms of financial efficiency. Are they reducing the number of defects in paint? Are they reducing the amount of energy required to drive a kilometer, et cetera, et cetera? And that's an automated efficiency metric every team can see. So teams can make trade-off decisions on their own. The sprint shortens as we reduce the amount of multitasking, waiting on shared services, and matrixed management. The sprint shortens as the developers increase their level of technical practices. The sprint shortens as developers reduce the amount of working alone versus pairing, swarming, and mob, as where there is less wait states when a team member is not available. The sprint length shortens as the team increases the level of psychological safety and resulting enthusiasm, energy, and passion. Morale multiplies velocity. We also recommend a group burn up chart when we want the scope to grow. We use a group burn up chart for things we want more of, such as completed research, revenue, attracted customers, and so on. Burn down charts are best used for scope we want to limit, reduce, or lock, like a fixed scope contract. Burn up charts are best used for entrepreneurial and conquest missions, where we psychologically want to encourage scope growth. Mathematically, both burn up and burn down charts are identical, but they have different psychological effects on scope growth. Please note, when teams multitask, the confidence of the burn down or burn up chart is further reduced. The fastest scenario is to have each team or collection of teams monotask on one extra small project at a time until it is done and released. If that is not practical, time boxing helps. For example, every Monday and Tuesday, the teams only work on project A, and every Wednesday, the teams only work on project B, and every Thursday and Friday, the teams only work on project C. Time boxing is slower than monotasking for all projects involved, but at least it is less waste and more predictable with a chart than a random or variable allocation of multitasking. For more information on this, please see Chapter 11, Focus. Here is a real product owner at a group Scrum board for 4 teams, designing, building, and testing a car together. The teams are machining metal and working with composites. There are also electronics and embedded software. You can see the recent velocity trends and what that implies for the next few weeks of work. The group Scrum board shows how many projects and what size are completed by each team each sprint. We also see what work is ready for the next 2 sprints. You can see the product owner is enjoying a refreshing white wine. We have measured morale as a multiplier for velocity. We prioritize a playful, low-stress sprint, playful, low-stress spirit, but also it'd be correct to read as a playful, low-stress sprint. Both are true. Truly, the more work can feel like a party, provided human resources and safety violations do not increase, the lower the cortisol and higher the serotonin and oxytocin levels in the staff, and the higher the performance. This would be a great time to watch Henrik Nyberg's video, Agile Product Ownership in a Nutshell, which reinforces many of these points. The video is on YouTube here. I actually think I have an updated link, so I'll check that. If you're watching this audiobook on my YouTube channel, you can see the current version of this Product Owner in a Nutshell video, which has some enhancements, very few by me. At some point, I'll rewrite it to update it and collaborate with Henrik. The video is 15 minutes long, so perhaps enjoy that and then enjoy a break, a stretch, a walk, maybe a workout, drink some water or a coffee, breathe some outside air, and let fresh air into the space in which you've been working and learning.